Where y'all gonna put it at?
Close to where it's almost sitting. It's just gonna be in the air. When you get out there within that right of way on 90, after you
Go ahead and make note of who's president, and I'll turn it over to you, and you go ahead and start. Tell us what you got there.
If it's a pleasure of the board, but, you know, I normally don't attend budget workshops because it's just a bunch of numbers and they don't really mean anything to me, as long as mine doesn't get cut. But there's one thing I wanted to bring to your attention tonight. You're being presented with 3 different proposals for budgets for the police department. Back a couple of years ago, when the, you know, Black Lives Matter, defund the police, whatever arguments were being made, the Florida legislature passed a statute that says if you cut your police budget by more than 20%, you have to notify the state's attorney for your district and provide them with a copy of the budget and an explanation for the cut. And they have 10 days to file for an administrative hearing to try to have an administrative law judge adjudicate whether it's appropriate for you to cut your budget that much. Now, in your circumstance, I don't think we're going to have a problem. But after tonight, this is the first time this is presented to you so that we can publish it. You know, I'll send that letter tomorrow. I'll probably take it there by hand either tomorrow or Friday and get that time clock started, because then if he does decide to file, the administrative law judge has to expedite the hearing, and it's supposed to be resolved within 20 days after the date it's filed. So I want to encourage him, if he has questions, to ask him. If he's going to file, so that we can get that clock rolling, so that you're still able to adopt your budget by October 1st. Now, it's obvious that you don't have the money to fund at the level that you did last year. We were using grant monies that were left over from the ARPA funds for the past 2 years to fund at the level we were. If you go back to before the legislature gave all the deputy sheriffs a raise, but didn't include municipal police officers, so that we had to make up that difference to keep from losing all our crew to the deputies. You know, we were probably at this level that we're looking at going to now. And I'll just get those numbers from Danielle in the morning before I send the letter out to make sure I'm right, but I think we are. There was a significant amount of ARPA money used to fund those raises. So I'll keep you posted. I should have an answer for you hopefully by your Tuesday meeting as to which way I think he's going to go. I'll encourage him to, you know, that's why I'm going to hand deliver it, so that I can encourage him to get with me as fast as possible and let me know what direction we're going. Y'all have any questions for me about anything related to the budget or that we just talked about?
Not yet.
Okay. Not yet?
This is your only shot.
No, I have my phone on, and I leave it on till I go to bed at 7:30. But it's on again at 5. So when the sun goes down, I do too. Appreciate y'all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I'll give you a call later.
Okay.
Gentlemen of the jury, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna let Danielle's gonna take the lead in this. We worked on this together, but she works on it daily and has a better understanding. I mean, I have an understanding, but she can specify the minutia that I don't that I don't know. I know the big picture, and we've talked about every aspect of it, but she does this every day. And so we'll do it together, but she's gonna take the lead, so.
Well, first of all, to make sure y'all all understand how the monies work, I gave y'all an accounting organizational chart, so everybody understands where this money comes from. So the general fund, the revenues, I've spelled it out where all the money comes from. The revenues, where the money comes from. And then the expenses, all of the expenses that come out of that money. There's 9 departments that come out of that little pot of money every year. And exactly like what out of admin, what all comes out of there, police department, what comes out, streets, fire department, fire and rescue, sanitation, the health department, the Sneads parks, and then the recreation department. And then you have your gas fund. That's a restricted account. And then you have your solid waste. That account we can kind of do what we want with. And then you have your water and sewer account. That's another restricted account. That's a bonded account that you can't just move money from there. So that's the way, list of accounts and how the money comes in and how the money goes out and what the money, our monies are spent on. So if you want to do the easy accounts first, that are kind of set in stone, they're what they are, we'll start with solid waste, because that's the easiest account.
Do y'all have any questions about this, about the?
Yeah,
all
about
these-
how the monies are
That's pretty
spent.
plain. I
You
mean,
did a good job
Good job.
on this.
Yeah. So, I gave you the actual budget, what we funded last year and what we got proposed for this year. And then this is actually what we've spent. So you have it both ways. So what we're proposing this year, you can see it's a little bit less than last year compared to what we brought in. Our revenues were a little bit less than last year because our rates had changed like in January of this year. And we are looking for probably another increase. We don't know that yet. We won't find out until January. So but it could kind of, our rates could go up again. I'm not sure. We won't know till January if they are or not. But there's no salary, well, a third of Bill's salary comes out of there. So that's what the salary that's in there.
And I do want to say on the solid waste, I'm going to be meeting with the head of Waste Pro in the near future. I've been looking at rates from around the areas to compare with ours, and things like franchise fees that other places are getting that we're not getting. They weren't asked for with previous administration, and some of this may change. I'm gonna try to get our rates lowered and probably try to get a franchise fee to help the town. I can't promise anything, but I've been doing some homework on that, and I hope to meet with him in the next couple of weeks about that. So just to give you a heads up on what's going on with that.
Well, you can tell him that you're not like the previous and it'll just be rolled over again.
Yeah.
That was a huge mistake.
I talked to him about that already. So anyway, he's looking at, I've already talked to him about the franchise fee aspect. He's looking at that. I met with him a couple of weeks ago. I've helped him out on a couple matters, and I'm hoping he'll be favorable to us. So we'll know more about that in a couple of weeks.
Do y'all have any questions on that account? Okay, and the next one is our gas tax. We have one employee that comes out of that account, and that's the one that works the inmate crew, comes out of that account. I actually do not have these numbers from the state yet, so I put those revenue numbers in at the same that they were last year. I have the one number from the that I get from the county, and it is like maybe $2,000 more. So I know that they should come in at like maybe the same, maybe just a couple of $1,000s more. But we actually do have our expenses coming in at less than they were last year. So if they do come in a little bit more than last year, we're already under budget on our revenue or expenses for this year. So if they do come in at more, since we already are $4,200 less on our expenses, I'm gonna, if it's okay with you guys, I plan on putting the extra money probably in repairs and maintenance, and probably road materials and supplies, because we spend that on like fixing, the potholes and stuff. And Bill's got a connection with some new kind of material to put in the potholes and stuff like that. So I plan on putting that extra money in that, the road materials line item, if that's okay with you guys.
I met with a guy yesterday, from Panama City, who has a material that he says he guarantees for 3 years. You put it in a pothole, they guarantee it for 3 years, and he's got some that have lasted several years in the middle of roads and it's still there. It's a new product. The city of Niceville is using it, Lynn Haven's using it. They're buying it by the crates of them, and he's gonna bring over a bucket of it next week. And Gary and I are gonna go out in the middle of the road. We're gonna put it out, see what it's like, and if it works like I think it's gonna work, we may be able to save some potholes, because I know we fix them and they wash out. We fix them and they wash out. But this substance will not wash out. And they're saying that it will last, like I said, it's guaranteed for 3 years. And he said he's seen some that have lasted a lot longer than that, and it seems to be the product. So I'm gonna get an example of it next week. I've already got a cost for a pallet of it, and it's something that we can afford, and we wanna use some of this extra money to just get that and to fill some of the potholes in town until we can pave some more roads.
You'll see when we get to the street fund and the general fund that we put some extra money in that too for the road materials and supplies. Because as you can see, we don't get a lot of money for the gas tax. That's where we used to pave our roads and stuff like that, but as you can see, we don't get any money to do that anymore. So we have to put extra money in the street fund and the general fund to help cover that. Because you can see road materials and supplies, there's nothing in there to help do that patching. So we have to put that extra money in the street fund to help cover that now in the general fund.
Speaking of the gas tax,
so-
I just want to give you an example. We looked last year at what our gas tax was in 2004 and what it was last year, and it was the same. Because our population has decreased from 2,200 down to under 1,700. And it's based on your population.
That's your
And so
funding
we're getting
number.
the same amount of money we got in 2004, but has everything gone up since 2004, expense-wise? And that's why it's always so tight, because we're not getting the money going up as fast as all the other materials and everything is going up.
And that's what these numbers are based on. Your gas tax revenues is based off the population. And so our population has not grew, so that number, of course, has not grew either. Y'all have any questions on that? All right, next is the water and sewer. So, those have increased a little bit, and that's mainly because of ACI, because we have, we increased that last year. So of course, those numbers have went up. The other water and sewer sales for the customers really haven't increased a whole lot. It looks like we did over budget on the sewer sales last year some. So that kind of hurt us a little bit on that line item, but the sewer sales for ACI, we should make more money on that. So those revenues have increased some. So, and then we did end up taking, after talking to Chris, he suggested that, because the water and sewer, like he has said, the last couple of years, the water and sewer account has been hurting. It's slowly been going down and stuff, but increasing that ACI helped, and as you can see, it did help. But he suggested that, because all of his other cities that he works with, everyone in City Hall is taken out of admin, which is admin in the general fund, except for the billing clerk, which would be Jordan in this case, because she mainly does the utility billing, which would be a water and sewer item. But he suggested that like me and Sherry Pope, which is admin clerk, be taken out of admin, and then of course Bill's salary is still split 3 ways. So we're changing our salaries to come out of admin instead of water and sewer. So the clerk and the admin clerk will be out of admin now instead of water and sewer. So that's gonna help that water and sewer a little bit. And then also we moved one other employee from water and sewer to the street fund in the general fund. So technically, which we moved the deputy clerk's salary, which was mine, or technically we moved half of water and sewer salary for the town clerk, because she was half water sewer and half admin. So we moved all of her salary out, took half the salary out, and then took all of Sherry Pope's salary out and moved it to admin. So we freed up 2 salaries and then a half a salary out of water and sewer to help it, and moved it to admin. And then another street, water sewer from there to streets in that general fund.
A couple of things about the water sewer account. One is, because it wasn't generating enough money from the use of ACI, the town was kind of compensating that until last year. The water sewer fund was having to borrow money from the general fund. And we're trying to get that paid back, and we slowly are. It was up to $400,000 at one time. And we paid it back down to what, 150?
It's still up there,
Still a couple $100,000.
it's like 300 or
The other thing is, people don't understand this when they want to know where's the money going. The town pays $37,000 quarterly on the bond for the sewer plant. So that's $150,000 a year that is paid for the bond for the sewer plant. So that there's another recurring fund that people don't generally know about. They just, and so that's what this, debt service is. That's the $149,000 back.
plus the backhoe.
Yeah.
And then you have half of the backhoe that we still owe on in there too. Because we haven't gotten the money back
And got
on that.
reimbursement yet.
And we still owe on it $100,000, so half of the backhoe that we owe on still is in here as well. Half of it's in water and sewer and half of it's in streets in the general fund.
Is that 79,000 thing or whatever that we were still waiting on?
No, that's
No.
the lift station. Do you want to mention about the 195?
Yeah, well, it's probably a good time to mention this. A couple weeks ago, I was contacted by FEMA, and they indicated that we were overpaid in 2019 or 2020, during that time frame when our town was torn apart. They're claiming that they overpaid us $195,000 toward the wastewater treatment plant repairs. Now, our records show that we got money from FEMA in the amount of $300-something thousand.
No, more than that.
Was it?
Yeah.
And the bill was $900-something thousand to repair it. But somehow in their mathematics, and we've called and we've argued with them, we've gotten people involved, our consultants, but they have the money. And there's not a lot we can do. We can just agree, we can appeal it. The
And we're
bottom
going
line,
to.
the bottom line is, and we have done so, but the bottom line is, and what they're gonna do is, on the grant for Lift Station 4, which was $633,000, their reimbursement was gonna be shorted by $195,000. So when we get the reimbursement from FEMA, we're gonna have $195,000 that we're gonna have to pay because FEMA said something happened 7 years ago. I don't have a clue. I mean, I wasn't here when he thought about it, so I don't really know. We're trying to fight it. We're sending them records, but you know what dealing with FEMA's like.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That is sad.
We lost all our stuff out in the ball field, and, it just.
It's sad.
And then they're gonna take another
$195,000. And you know what? They're holding it, so when they give us the part of the 633, if they short us, there's nothing we can do but take what they got and try to pay the rest. So we're in a bad situation. Now, we take care of it, and we will take care of it. But that's just another example of things that this town has to deal with that people behind the scenes don't really understand. And it's no fault of anybody. I think it's an error by them.
As much runaround as they've given us about the ballpark lights, how many times have we met on that and give them everything they wanted?
I have done that. I was in a meeting with some people last 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was a conference call, and they wanted to know, but y'all hadn't kept up the electrical part of the lights. I said, look, I'm gonna talk to you in common sense. I live here. I said, we had lights that worked. We had a hurricane. We got lights that don't work. And I said, maintaining the electrical aspect of it after the hurricane tore them up is ridiculous. there's nothing to maintain. It didn't work. It was torn to pieces. And they're fighting, saying that we didn't maintain the destroyed part good enough, so they're gonna hold back that money for our lives. And we're negotiating that now, and it may work itself out, but I'm not holding my breath.
I mean, we walked around with them and showed them.
I know. But I just wanted to let the council know that there's gonna be a fund out there that we're gonna have to take care of, and it's to the tune of $195,000. Whenever we get the reimbursement for that lift station, they're gonna short us that amount of money, and we're gonna have to come up with the rest of it through the bank somehow.
Which would be water and sewer.
We were supposed to have money in there for concession stand. The gazebo building that got torn down was supposed to have been replaced.
That's right.
We had voted on that here one night at the, at a meeting to go ahead and purchase that, long pole barn to get put back in place, and, this just, it ain't been, something just ain't been right about it since the hurricane, really.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, I think that part of it was the consultants that we had hired, that was hired beforehand, parametrics. I came in late in the game on that.
Right.
And I had a guy that was working with us, and I couldn't work with him. And I finally just called the vice president and said, look, I can't work with this guy. He won't return my calls. He's not doing the work. I was doing his work for him through Kayla Huber in Indiana, because she couldn't get him to do it either. And she would send me how to do it, and I would send back quarterly reports, monthly reports. I was doing his work for him until we could get another consultant in there.
I got one more thing to say on, then we'll move on, because I don't want to hold anybody up, but it don't make sense that we had insurance coverage on the stuff and we still ain't got nothing. And FEMA, I mean, but move along.
It's a mess.
Yep.
Do y'all have any questions on the water and sewer?
How many?
Can I ask a question about that? And just trying to understand. So, since it was, you're talking about this lift station down here,
That's lift station 4.
Four.
so they're gonna pay everything but $195,000 for that, so that comes out of water and sewer?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna come out of the town's budget through water sewer, yes.
Right.
We're gonna have to make up the difference because they're gonna withhold that part of the grant from
Gotcha.
us.
Okay.
And we were supposed to be fully reimbursed for that. And that's what we borrowed the money to go ahead and get it started so that we could get reimbursed. And now they're saying late in the game, a few weeks ago, after years and years and years and years, that we overpaid you $195,000 and we're gonna
Which all
hold,
went
we're
to
gonna
the
withhold.
contractor.
Gotcha.
And I told him, I said, look, the town is destroyed, we're just trying to fix the town back.
And I remember, I
You
was,
know?
I was,
And so,
I was a deputy on this side of the county trying to do whatever I could.
but try to talk to
Keep people
FEMA.
alive. Oh, yeah, there's your problem right
There's
there.
your problem right there.
Every other town has gone through the same thing.
Yeah, and that's what they hit us up with recently, because we thought we were in really good shape, and then bam, so now we've got to come up
I
with.
think they when the adjusters came out, they under adjusted it or
Right.
whatever. So I think they're having to look at that number.
Well, I think it's just like the concession stand, I think they were talking about, maybe $400,000 or $500,000, and when they got the bid back to build it, it was like 1.5 million. And so, we just had to stop right then because there wasn't near enough money to build what they wanted to build with the money they were saying we were gonna get.
Okay, thank you.
Danielle, all your salaries on you out of water and sewer, is that all maintenance paid out of that one?
Yes, just about all of maintenance.
All the maintenance?
Except for Walt is out of the general fund. BJ will be out of general fund. Half of Gary's salary will be, out of general fund.
Okay.
But everybody else is
And
water and
that's the
sewer.
maintenance and the water sewer guys.
Oh, okay.
That's the
Yeah.
maintenance and water sewer.
Yeah. And a third of Bill,
And a third of bill on that one, okay.
and half of y'all.
I don't know how y'all keep up with it.
She
It's-
does a good job.
it's-
She does a good
I
job.
have to do payroll every month and break it down.
What is your debt service At the bottom of the water and sewer debt expense, it says debt service.
Okay, so that is the bond, part of that's the backhoe, and the rest of that is some that we are gonna be trying to pay back general fund. And then if we have to get a loan for the 195, we put some in there for that.
Okay.
Cause I don't think we're gonna have $200,000
Yeah.
just to pay that.
Just
back.
roughly,
Yeah,
how much money have we not got reimbursed by FEMA? Like,
Oh,
that we're waiting
Lord.
just roughly?
Oh, Lord, I can't, I'd have to go in there and look.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
I can't tell you exactly, I don't have that with me now.
But we're gonna pay them back almost 200,000.
And they're in the process, well, I'm gonna tell you this, they wouldn't pay it, they wouldn't pay it, they wouldn't pay it, and so I kept checking, I kept calling Tallahassee, and I was bugging them, and they finally, that's when they told me, well, the reason we're not paying you is because you owe us $195,000, and I said, what? And that's when they told me this story about that, but they were holding up our reimbursement payments because they thought they'd overpaid us, and we owed them that $195,000, and I had to get somebody in Tallahassee to release the hold on the monies so we could start back in the process again and start getting reimbursed. We'll still be $195,000 short, but they were holding up these hundreds of thousands of dollars because of the 195. And I finally got that hold released, so now we can process it. They're starting to move a little bit, but. it's
we've
gonna-
been waiting on, like, I know about, what, $270-something thousand that they said they were gonna cut the checks.
July the 21st.
The week of July the 21st, and we haven't seen but one check that was $35,000, and we just got that last week.
And in fact, I've got a call in right now to the head of Florida Commerce to find out what happened the 21st of July. I mean, they're telling us.
Yeah,
this
they
stuff.
told us, they even printed out the dollar amounts that the checks were supposed to be, that were gonna be cut the week of the 21st, which we gave them some leeway because, you know, the state's budget started July 1, but we've only gotten one check out of those checks that they said they were gonna cut, and we just got it last week, and it was like $35,000.
It's in step 6.
Yeah, they keep saying it's in step 6.
It's in step 6.
And it's gotta go to step 8. We're in step 6, we're in step 6, and it's gotta go to step 8.
Very, very frustrating, and Danielle and I worry about that and work on it every day. I've had consultants, I've contacted people in Tallahassee, I've contacted politicians to get, I've done everything I could do to get it moved, and it's starting to maybe see some movement, but, you know, but their timelines are never accurate.
But this is how backwards they are, like, for instance, on lift station 4, the first payment we sent in for reimbursement was like $70,885. They skipped that reimbursement and gave us reimbursements for 2 and 3, and still haven't gave us reimbursement for number 1, and that one was done over a year ago.
July of last year.
And we have not gotten the reimbursement for number 1, but we got reimbursement for 2 and 3.
Do they think they've given us reimbursement?
No, they know they haven't.
It's
They
in-
know that they have not gave us reimbursement for payment number 1. They, yeah, it's in step 6.
It's in step 6.
We're still waiting on payment number 1 of the $70,000.
So, steps 2 and 3, they must was less than, step 1 put together, so they giving us a lower payment and skipping the big one.
No, those were actually bigger.
Really?
Yes, they were larger payments, 2 and 3. Yeah. They were like, one of them was like 100 and something, like almost $191,000, and they gave us those.
So the company that did that work, they're waiting on their
No.
money too. Y'all have
No,
took
we-
care of
we
that.
paid them. We
Well,
paid
So we just waiting on
actually-
reimbursement.
We
Reimbursement.
actually just got the final payment, from them, or the final invoice from them, so that's fixing to be done up. I got to actually go to the bank and get the cashier's check to pay them, and then have to send in for the final payment from FEMA to get that. And so once we do that, we'll find out what they're actually gonna pay, and if they are actually gonna take the 195 out of that or not.
But we are paying the vendors, because we
Yeah.
have to, you know, if something falls apart and we need repairs, we gotta go back to these same vendors to come fix our plant, you know? So we cannot not pay them. But, our getting a reimbursement is the problem.
Yeah.
All right.
So, that leaves the general fund. So first of all, when we get to the general fund, if you take, if you look at your numbers from last year to this year, and you take out what last year where we did the transfers from other funds, which was $50,000 from solid waste, and then a carryover, which was almost $45,000. That's almost $100,000, which technically we did that, on paper to make the budget balance that we technically did not really have. We had the 50,000 from solid waste, but we didn't have really the carryover. Because if you remember, Chris said last month that the general fund was really in the hole. So our true budget last year was 1.217,939. And then you look at this year's budget, and you take that bottom line number, and you take out the $711,200, which that is the fire truck and the backhoe, then your budget is, for this year, technically true budget is 1.237720. The difference in those two, where you can see what your true revenue is, the increase from last year's budget to this year, you only actually gained $19,781. That's not even $20,000 in revenues that we got this year, total. So your revenues only increased not even $20,000 for the year. But your expenses have increased. Everything's went up. Go to the grocery store. Everything's went up. But your revenues, we did not get any new revenues.
So if we had an emergency or something, we would have to pull from that 29,000, I guess you're
Yes.
saying?
So if you look at your bottom line numbers, the expenses, we actually have extra expenses. But, I mean, if we have an emergency, we can't keep borrowing from like water, sewer, solid waste, because that's not reoccurring funds that you have to keep borrowing from.
Well, didn't our water and
You can't borrow from water and sewer to put in general fund.
well, my question was though, Blake has taken his test, correct?
They both took them and they both passed.
So they're not gonna stay with us if we don't give them a bump, right?
Well, that's water and sewer, so that's not this.
Okay.
Yes, so that's
But yes,
mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't wanna lose good employees.
those guys
Yeah.
can go I don't wanna say this too loud, these guys can go anywhere and make
Hope they ain't watching.
$30,000 to $50,000 more a year.
Oh, they know.
The
They
same,
know.
the
Yeah, they already
same,
know.
the same person in Graceville makes $117,000 a year.
So, I mean, at the bottom where it says your expenses, that's what each department, we have each department at. And I know that everybody's saying like, last year's police department budget was, 600 something. This year, we're cutting it down to 400. Where's that extra money? Well, first of all, right there, I just said, the 50,000 from solid waste and the 45 from the carryover, that's 100,000 right there.
That's 100,000 eaten up right there.
That's ate up. Well, if you go and look at your other departments from last year, if you go back to what I said about these are all your revenues, but all these 9 departments come out of that one pot of money. So it's not just the police department coming out of that pot of money. So whenever you start looking at, so that leaves 100,000, they say. Well, yeah, but if some of your other 8 departments in that general fund were over during the year, it's gonna take away some of that money. And that's what happened. If some of your other departments during the year were over. Because you gotta think, admin, we bought that land down there, admin, it had the FERDAP grant, the $200,000 for, Dotson Park until we get paid back. So admin gets hit with a lot of stuff like that, extra things. Also, it got hit with like some of your debt services on your interest payments and things like that. So it puts that over. The fire department was over because of the grants that they got. I mean, it's over, but then we get paid back. Yeah, but that money goes during the year. And then every department was over on utilities. We just didn't budget enough. I guess the electric company was higher than we expected it to be. So we under budgeted on every department on utilities just about.
And it's not that we didn't look at it, because we
Yeah.
looked at what
We
we
just
had done
didn't-
previous years and kind of did it accordingly. If it was an
Yeah, we
increase,
just
we tried
didn't
to prorate that, but it actually came out more. And another thing, our insurance went up 16%, for all the employees, and that comes out of us. We didn't increase what they have to pay as employees. The 16% increase, we ate as our part of the insurance, and we lost,
$13,000 from the tag
$13,000 from
office.
the tag office, not gonna be here next year, so that's a $13,000 loss right there of revenue. So I mean, just a lot of things that's happened that's affected our, and we can't increase our income because it's statutorily given to us. We have a set amount of monies that we gotta deal with it. We can't increase it like we can with water sewage. We can't do that. We have a set amount of money, we gotta live within it.
So what is in here for the, like I said, I gave you each department, I gave you the admin, I gave you, I gave you the police department 3 ways. I gave it to you the way it is now, with the 2 officers and the 1 part-time. And then I gave it to you with 2 officers, 2 part-time, and then I gave it to you 3 officers and 1 part-time. The way that I have it on the front page now is with the police department staff the way we have it right now. 2 officers and 1 part-time.
And it balances with that. Anything other than that exceeds what our budget is,
We would have to make cuts somewhere.
we have to do something different.
Like I said, the other departments that went up was the streets, because we do have the backhoe in there, and we do have the extra employee in there. And then the parks went up, because we're adding these 2 parks down there to it, so it went up a little bit. And the fire department, the only reason why it's up is because it has a fire truck in there, otherwise it would be the same. And then, other than that, everything else is pretty much the same or less, every other department in there. Most of them are less, besides Sneads Park, streets. Every other department that comes out of the general fund is less than last year.
Do we know that the cybersecurity is 50,000?
We don't know
They
that.
said anywhere from 30 to 100.
I thought with people that feel in Pensacola, they really didn't know exactly, but it's coming is what they said. And, he guesstimated, but he said he won't know till a little later on, and he let me know.
That's the only thing about that cybersecurity, everybody about told it's a guessing game for them, they don't know, but they just plugging in the numbers, but they don't know.
So, the money that FEMA owes us, if we ever get it back, where does that go?
Most of it will go to water and sewer, because it's for lift station 4.
And some of these that come back will pay back on loans that we have at the bank that we took to get some of this stuff done.
And the rest of it, some of it will go to the
Bank loans
streets.
that we're paying interest on, and when we get some of the money back, we'll pay the loans back. That we wanted to get, we had to front pay these things to get them stuff done.
Yeah.
FEMA,
Fair.
But it would be,
And then
that's the only way.
they don't use
The
that at all.
money for the backhoe goes pay on the loan for that. It's a loan, there's a loan to the bank for that. We're guaranteed the money for free. But
They should,
funding the loan paying interest to it, it comes in.
but she's talking about the state.
We didn't get anything for the backhoe, but it was through the funds that we utilized, the excess FEMA funds.
What about pay increases for any staff?
We have incorporated some pay increases.
How much? 3%, 5%, $1,200 across the board, how much?
We did it individually on those that had not gotten raises recently and got different amounts according to their expertise, their length of years, and their specialty, like the ones that just got their certifications. But we tried to, that was a big thing for me. I wanted to make sure that people that were working, they were making very little money, were given raises. I didn't put a specific 2% because that wouldn't have worked. So I tried to bring them up to an amount of money that I thought was fair and equitable for the work that they do and for what we could afford.
Kind of incentive type raise.
Is this a year we had to get them up above the $15 mark?
Some of them were right at it or a little below.
Right, yeah.
And some of them had been here several years and hadn't had a raise in years and were making basically poverty level money. And so I tried to help those people that needed it the most, and those that needed it the least got less.
But most of those are
I
out of
agree.
water and sewer. Most
Most
of
of
our
that, yeah,
employees are out of
that-
water and sewer.
Okay, yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
still short in maintenance, how many?
At least two officers, at least two employees. But they've not complained. I mean, they just work hard.
Are
and
we
they-
gonna
they-
replace them, or we still gotta wait and see?
Depends on budget. You know, right now
No.
we don't have the money to do it.
No.
We've been short since Keith passed and Jimmy left. You know, we're down at least two there. And you know, there's more to keep up because we got the two parks down there now, and we're gonna get the other park, and the other part of the park is coming. So they're gonna have a lot more work to do, and, you know, to keep it, and no bodies, basically. So it's gonna get a situation with maintenance that's gonna
Yeah,
be a
it's
problem.
pretty much each department is getting a
We
taste
just-
of that.
We just have to find money that's gonna be reoccurring funds.
Right. Not like ARPA.
Yeah.
Not like that. That got us in a mess.
How many more years is that DOT contract? Or
Well,
mowing-
we
mowing
just
right
got more money. It went from we got an extra $5,000 on that
It
this
just
year.
went up. You signed that about a couple months ago, and I think that's for 3 years, I think. And I think it went up $5,000 a year for that.
That put it at a total of, what, 12?
It's
It's like
20,500. Well,
I thought it was
no.
30. I think the total for the 3 years was like 32,000, 31,000, 32,000, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
because that DOT is the mowing and the lighting together. Let's both of them together.
You know, I'm trying to work with Waste Pro to get us some franchise fees from them to help, to give us some more cash money, and I think I'm gonna be able to do that. I won't, but that's solid waste, but that's part of it. But I'm just I'm looking everywhere I can to try to increase revenue flow, and there's just not a lot of ways.
We're a
you know.
poor town. I mean,
We're
we
small
are.
town.
Yeah, we're small.
You know, we're 5,000 people less than we were several years ago. We were
Yeah.
2,200 people, now we're down to 16 something. And, you know, the revenue's less, and the increase in our budget is not there. So it's based on population, so we're getting less money, and everything's gone up, and it just really puts you in a tight situation. You know, there's not a lot of fluff in this budget. A lot of it's mainly fixed cost. It's employees, and it's retirement, and it's social security, and it's health insurance, and things that you can't change, you know. I mean, they're there, and maintenance and stuff like that, just, you know, water bills, utilities. There's no fluff in this. And there's
Didn't they just up the retirement part of it?
Retirement went up, and insurance went up 16%. And like I said, you know, you can increase your water sewage rates, you can increase your garbage rates, but you can't increase your general budget. That comes from Tallahassee, and it's set amounts, and it's based on population, and it's not going up. So you gotta, you know, but everything else is going up but your money. And that's what puts you in a bind.
29,000 is like you can use for Band-Aid, basically.
It could be 2 pumps. You know, a couple weeks ago, and I know this is water sewage, but within 2 weeks last month, we had a $6,000 pump go out and an $8,000 pump go out. And you have to have them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we just do it, you know. So having such a small contingency fund there is alarming to me as a manager who my job is to make sure that the budget balances. And it is alarming to me, because I'd like to have, you know, a nest egg there for the rainy day fund or for some catastrophe happens, even a small one. I hold my breath. And then I look at the infrastructure that we have with the streets and the cars and the trucks and the dump trucks and the 50-year-old road grader and the 40-year-old dump truck. And it's alarming.
Well, let me go ahead and give you a cane, that we're not $150,000 in the hole.
We're a lot better than we were a year ago.
Yes, we are.
We're a lot better than we were a year ago.
Well, and, I mean, the rec department's here. If you look at the back page of this, you know, we decreased theirs, the rec department, from 150 to 128 because of them taking over most of, you know, taking over a lot of their rec.
Right.
So I took out, and that would be that, basically that 29. If we were still,
But we still
You
have
know,
to have
taking over
insurance on the
that.
parks. I mean, there's still,
we still have that salary.
there's still
we
stuff that we have to pay, you know.
You know.
But we're sort of out of the rec business in that they're taking over a lot of the responsibilities and the pay instead of it floating, coming
I
through us.
mean, even though that's kind of like a washout, we still would have to budget for that.
Thank y'all for taking
I have a question about that as far as the decrease, was that just from the registration fees, that decrease?
Basically,
So everything feels the same all around, it's just the decreases in the registration fees is what you're seeing?
And then we split that up between uniforms, special insurance franchise fees, and we helped with some refs.
Is Walt paid out of that one?
Yes.
I thought,
Walt was in the general fund.
He is, but the rec is the
It's
general
part of the
fund.
general
Rec is
fund.
part of
it.
There's 9 parts of the
Yeah,
general fund.
it's all out of the same one.
There's 9 agencies out of the general fund.
Okay.
And water sewage is water sewage.
Yeah.
It's a tight budget.
That's just for putting it on paper issues is what that is what I'm looking at.
Yes.
So as far as what the town is able to contribute or budget aside, will essentially be the same, even though it's technically, we'll say $30,000 less. So when we look on the website where people are signing up and paying their sign-up fees, roughly about $31,000 is what was done, which I assume is kind of the washout. That's been going into the general fund. We're now separating that so we know exactly what that's funding. We want that to fund the equipment, we want that to fund the uniforms, the Dixie Youth or the Diamond Youth insurance for baseball, softball. That's been our goal, and I know you guys voiced that this
Yeah.
last time, so us taking that off, but the town is still covering repairs down there and those things.
Yes.
And
It's
we-
still our
Park,
property.
it's our park,
Right.
insurance and responsibilities and all that. Now, we did leave a little money in there for equipment,
Okay.
Like if something,
like in case y'all
you
need
know,
gotten a tight, needed some ball to play baseball or some flags to play flag football, we'd have a little bit of money to keep it rolling. But, you know, and if y'all don't need that, that's great. If y'all are able to do like you hope to do, and be completely
I
self-sufficient.
hope we don't, but
Yeah,
if we,
but that's-
if we do, I want to know that there's a
We left,
backup plan.
we left that as a contingency, just in case y'all need it, because this is your first year doing that, and there may be some bumps, and so we kept a little money there just in case y'all need it.
well, and two, that's in case Walt needs weed eaters, or Walt needs like, you know, a tractor, or not a tractor, but, you know, something like that, that needs to be spent on that kind of stuff too. $6,000 is not gonna buy a tractor.
Not a
but,
tractor.
You know, but weed eaters and stuff like that, that's where that equipment money would come out of too.
You know, the bottom line is, our monies didn't go up much, our costs went up a lot. We've got funds, things that have happened that we have no control over, $195,000. And so it's not it's a budget that balances, but it's a budget that doesn't have a lot of leeway with it at all. And again, that's not what I hoped for when I took over a year ago. We were $350,000 in debt when we looked at the beginning, and we got it under control. And I was hoping to be a lot more, have money set aside for a rainy day fund and to purchase equipment and things like that if we needed it. And I wanted to upgrade, some of the maintenance people's vehicles and stuff like that. We've got all kind of equipment down there that's tearing apart, and we need new stuff. With this budget, I just don't see how we're gonna be able to do it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question, and I'm not picking on anybody, okay? I'll make that clear. Is this police budget that we're doing now, the one that we've got currently that we can make it with, is the part-time person based on 30 hours?
Yes,
Okay, so that's the pay that we're counting on, correct?
for
Okay.
that first one, yes.
Yeah, it's
And that's the only one that comes in.
we base
with
it
the
off of
budget.
30 hours a week.
Okay, and what's he currently working? It varies?
He's working a
He works-
maximum of 35.
Okay.
Yeah, I think his last paycheck was for 60 hours or something like
Yes.
that, 60 hours.
That, you gotta consider, that's a pay period, so that is 30 hours.
Yeah, I think it's. I
Okay,
think
so
it was-
he's doing 30, 35, okay, so
I'm
we're balanced.
working him a maximum of, I'm working a maximum of 35.
Okay, so we're balancing these, so we shouldn't have any problems of going over or anything like that.
No.
And we're utilizing, so that y'all aren't getting tired, we're utilizing the sheriff's department if we need to.
The sheriff department does pay this.
Okay,
And I'm gonna say this, and I know it's gonna be all over the internet, but if we went with the sheriff's department and hired, contracted two, we'd save $200,000. And when you got a budget that's that close, $200,000 is a lot of money. That's just throwing that out there. We can get two and put them about like we're doing now and let the sheriff's department cover and make this a substation. And it would save the town $200,000+, because we can do two for $200,000 or less, whereas this is gonna be between $415 and $490. So it's $200,000+. From a financial point of view, I'm just saying, that's my job, is to manage the money and the finances of the town. That's my job. And so that's the difference in the two. Whether you like one or the other better, I don't, that's another story. But I'm just saying, from a financial point of view, that's the reality.
In Graceville, they were about ready to hang the city council and the city manager when they were talking about doing away with theirs.
But they've cut down to 4 from 7 because they can't afford it. And they can hang me up if they want to, it doesn't really matter to me.
Just doing your job.
I'm just doing my job, I'm just telling you, and if we had money, I'd like to have 11, 12, 15 police officers. I'm a law enforcement guy. But from a business point of view, what we're doing doesn't make sense to me. Because you can hire the same people we have here and put another uniform on them and have the same type coverage and let them cover the other and save $200,000 for other things that we need, like infrastructure and cars and trucks and things that we're gonna need in the future, so that we won't get ourselves in a bind. Property taxes is maybe not in the next couple of years. I mean, there's just a lot of things out there that scares me as a business person. And that's, I'm just throwing it out there.
One of the things I can tell you, like Mr. Rentz's job is to balance the budget. I can tell you from our standpoint, yes, that possibly could work. The only thing is, and it's nothing against the sheriff's department, because I work with these guys every day. I just want y'all to consider the level of service will be different, but it's not through any fault of an individual deputy. The thing is, we are here. I want y'all to keep in mind the level of service is gonna be different. That's from my standpoint. I do understand that we do have to look at the budget, because I talk to Mr. Rentz and Daniel every day, so I
Every day.
know what we're facing. But I just want y'all to understand that the level of service will be different, and the reason why is even if we do that, the thing is, the sheriff's department, the sheriff himself, Donnie is a constitutional officer. So what I mean when I say that, and, Mr. Arnold, you may understand where I'm coming from on this. As a constitutional officer, he would also have obligations to more than just Sneads. So if you do have a deputy here, in essence, he's not here. And let me explain what I mean by that. So what would happen, I'm gonna explain it in as simple terms as I can. So we've got 4 square miles, just Sneads PD. The sheriff's department, one deputy actually has 300 square miles. So I don't know how a contract deputy works. I will go ahead and be honest with y'all on that. So
Well, can I interject that now and tell you
Yes,
how
go ahead.
it's gonna work? If we hired a contract officer, let's say we did that, he would hire Brett Preston, and Brett Preston would work in Sneads, and that would be his first obligation. Now, if there was a wreck in Grand Ridge, he'd do just like he does as a Sneads officer, he would go over there and respond. But the 2 officers contracted with us wouldn't be in Graceville. They would be in Sneads during the peak hours that we wanted them there. I've already got that clarified. Now, you know, other than that, the peak hour, other than that, then the sheriff's department will cover like they're doing now. They're covering now when these guys aren't working. So, I mean, you know, he could turn around and hire Brett, and Brett could work the same hours he's working now in Sneads, for Sneads, and be for Sneads, but it would save us $200,000 plus.
Just a different uniform.
Just change uniforms. I mean, and I've double checked that. I said, if we do this, we're not gonna have somebody from Sneads in Cottonville. Absolutely not. They'll be assigned to Sneads, and they will work their hours at Sneads, and other than that, they would have to, they would be in the sheriff's department, and we could make a substation here, and that would, I think, would entice more people from the sheriff's department to be here. That's what I was told, so.
Continue, Brett.
Well, yes, so having said that, in the past, municipalities have done that. They have done that. I can only speak from when I first started. So Alfred, correct me if I'm wrong, Alfred, Campbellton, and I do believe Malone did start out that way. But those governments, and somebody who's familiar with, please interject me if I'm wrong, those governments eventually stopped doing that. So what happens when, you know, Sneads decides to stop doing that, and you as a council, y'all decide to stop doing that, what happens is your contract deputy will end up being zoned off. And the reason why that happens is because, well, even with us, we have a mutual aid agreement with the sheriff's department. And I'm gonna tell you, that's the best idea ever. And the reason why is if you, Mr. Weeks, are in Grand Ridge at a traffic crash, and the deputy is actually supposed to cover the what would be zone, we're D-zone, what would be zone D is in Mariana, then I'm actually the closest one to you. And I brought that up to say this: you can consider a contract deputy, but I'll be honest with you, it's a pretty good chance it's not going to last, because every city that tried it, they didn't keep it up. And that's the thing that I'm worried about. From Mr. Rentz's standpoint, I understand what he's saying, because I've seen the budget, I know what the money we're working with. But if you go that route, there's always a possibility it may last a year, it may last 5 years, but eventually that deputy will be zoned off. And I'm speaking from a law enforcement experience, not a business experience. That's what I'm speaking on. And I'm saying that so you'll understand what the possibilities are if you go that route.
And I did a survey of 19 cities that went to the sheriff's department and/or did the contracting. Several of them did contracting. Destin has got contract with Okaloosa County for 14 deputies that they could patrol there. There's two. What?
That's a big difference. in
Sure, it's a
here.
big difference, but whether we keep them or not is gonna be up to the city council. It's whether the council wants to continue to do that, and if we could save $200,000 and have money, you know, then it'll be up to the council to either say, well, let's don't do this anymore, or not. I mean, that's gonna be up to the council, that's not up to the sheriff, actually, it's up to the council.
I worked as a contract deputy for the sheriff's department for the town of Baldwin for just under 8 years. And every time Alford is in C-zone, southwest part of the county, every time they were short a deputy, didn't have one in C-zone, I was the C-zone deputy. You get what you pay for.
Did you have an increase of crime?
When I was there,
No.
there was no officer there at all before me.
I
And
think-
it was on these towns, Alford, Hamilton, Cottondale, all have major thoroughfares going through for tourists, and they write a lot of tickets, which helps offset the cost. We don't necessarily have that here.
Hamilton had the same problem. There wasn't a deputy up for Lee-zone, right? Lee-zone. The deputy in Hamilton got into the car.
When you have
But you're talking about 4 square miles. If you live a half a mile out of here, you're in the sheriff's office zone. I mean, does the 4 square miles make that big a difference as far as law enforcement goes?
Brett, what was the
Last thing I'll say is, when you have
What
a,
was their reasons for not keeping up with it?
Because when they would call and ask, for that deputy, he would be on the call, and they'd say, well, how come it took you so long to get here? Well, I had to go answer a call out in the county, I wasn't in the city. Is it there?
the last thing I'd like to say is, we have a chief and a hierarchy and a structure. If you're not happy with the way I do my job, you have somebody to complain to. If you're not happy with the way he does his job, they have somebody to complain to. When you have a different officer here every day or every week, and you complain on that officer, all that's gonna happen is they're gonna move you to another zone for a few days, and you're not gonna try calling the sheriff's office and ask to speak to the sheriff.
Every time I call him, he talks to me.
Right now,
I mean,
right
every time
now,
I pick up the phone, he answers my call, and I'm a
Go
civilian.
ahead, Mike.
right now, we got according to what y'all proposing, we got a balanced budget right now. All right, so we're not here tonight to vote on doing away with the police department. We're here tonight to work on a balanced budget.
I just want to give you the difference in the
Okay,
two
all right.
with the tight
So,
budget.
let's move along with the next item that you need to present to us.
Well, I mean, it's just really the general fund numbers here. I mean, you got your admin and all your other departments, your admin and volunteer fire department, fire and rescue, streets, sanitation, health, Sneads Parks and the rec. I mean, they're, like I said, the only other ones that have increased is the fire department because of the fire truck. Other than that, it's the same as last year. The streets, the only reason why that is because it has half of the backhoe debt, and then we added that one employee. And then the Sneads Park has increased because we added these 2 new parks down here to it. So, but other than that, all of the other departments are either the same or less.
Let
That's
me
in the
ask you
general
something.
fund.
Back we did now.
So on that,
We waiting on the funds to be acquired.
we still owe that because we had to take out the loan for that.
Okay.
So we have the loan at the,
At the
bank,
bank.
so we still owe half of that. Half of that comes out of general fund and half of that's in
Okay,
water
but
sewer.
that's coming back in through.
We hope.
We hope, yeah,
We
if
hope,
not, we're
okay.
gonna owe that.
We gotta-
Because we owe that money,
When you got
but
prayer.
we're waiting on that. We've been waiting on that for about 6 months now.
Okay, all right.
So we hope to get that back from FEMA. If not, we're gonna owe that, so that's why that's in here for debt.
Okay.
Because if not, then we're gonna have to
But
pay
you
that
got that
back.
worked in with a balanced budget?
Yes.
Right now, okay.
Yes,
Good job.
because you have to show that as debt. So if you look over on the streets, page, you'll see that down here at the bottom, 51-1, as debt service, half of the backhoe.
Street,
Yeah, it's at the bottom line item.
Okay, that's it. That's what that's what we owe?
Mhm. That's half of it. The other half is in water and sewer.
We had $234,000 in excess FEMA funds. With that excess FEMA funds, we bought a backhoe for $134,000. We have gotten $34,000 back from the state side. We borrowed the money from the bank with it, so we could go ahead and use that money or lose it. We were gonna lose $250,000, which we could use for equipment. So we bought the backhoe, and we borrowed the $100,000, and we're waiting on that to be, returned to us. Once that's returned, we'll have $102,000 left in excess funds. I got FEMA to extend that to February, and from that, I hope to buy a dump truck.
There you go.
And so I'm trying to get the infrastructure up, because our dump truck doesn't work, and we're fixing to get some millions, and we have no way of hauling it.
Yeah.
But we don't want to even attempt to get a dump truck until we get this money back.
I understand that.
And in fact, I thought was gonna lose it because the time was running out, and then I got with a consultant in Tallahassee, and they got me an extension until February so that we can get paid back, and then we can go borrow it and get the dump truck.
Perseverance.
Working on it.
Have you considered talking to some bigger places from South Florida like we used to do for some police cars? You know, I know they got to have extra top vehicles, dump trucks, stuff like that, and see if they would consider donating one, you know, letting us have it for a minimal fee or nothing, just to come take it off their hands.
Well, I'm not sure we can use the FEMA funds for that.
No, I'm just saying, to get them to see if they can offer one.
If they can give us one, we can do
Yeah.
it, but if we have to buy it, we can't get the money.
But I mean,
to
well,
buy
the
it.
police cars we used to get, we'd go down there, Mike Miller used to just go get them for nothing.
Well,
you know?
they got several last year like that, from Okaloosa County. and different
Right, yes.
places.
So the question is, so with the staff we have now, are y'all gonna be okay with that for the police department? Cause that's how we have the budget balanced now.
I am, two and one part-time, I mean, like
And then,
I told these guys before, the sheriff's already said that he'd fill in all the blank spots, so I don't expect y'all to work yourself to death. I don't think none of us do.
But it's,
You know,
I have discussed it with Brett several times, you know, hey, look here, when y'all's hours are up, hey, I'm sorry, hey, you go 10-7, and, hey, county, it's on you now,
yeah.
you know? And that's the way we're gonna have to do it, if we stay with this right here. That's the only choice we got.
So if we stay with the proposed 2-1, next month it will be where we'll ask for another officer or another part-time
Well,
or
it's-
anything.
Well,
It'll be
once the
this.
budget is set, there won't be money there for that.
No.
Now, we do have grants out there, to pursue them, just like what the sheriff did with that money that he got over $1 million to pay, for the financially constrained counties, to give all his deputies pay raise. They do, the same thing is out there for police departments.
But is it recurring funds, or is that a one-time hire? See, the problem is you hire them one time, the next year, then you don't have the money, and then you're like the world.
Here's the
Office.
thing.
Continue to apply for it.
I
With
don't know
that, I
anything.
spoke with Shane Abbott because we started trying to save the police department last year when Chief Weeks was in. Shane Abbott said that they don't want the municipalities, so they're not gonna give extra money. Now, that came out of his mouth. I don't know who else believes that way, but
Well, FDLE is the one that gave the sheriff $1 million.
well, I'm just saying, you know, he's.
Shane Abbott gives the money to FDLE.
He's one of the representatives.
But he's not the only one over there, though.
No, he's not.
if, so if y'all are okay with this, then, of course, we have our regular meeting next Tuesday. And then the next week, we have the first actual budget hearing, the 17th. And I'll go ahead and, what I'll do with this extra 29,000, I'm gonna, cause I have to make the budget actually balanced. So with this extra 29, I'm gonna spread it out through the departments to even the budget, to make it actually balanced. So the numbers will be the same, your revenues and your expenditures. So it'll be even numbers and get it balanced for the first hearing, if that's okay with y'all. Just kind of spread it out.
And we'll kind of look at the needs, like if there's a need for streets to do this, or, you know, we'll take a look at where the needs are and try to move.
Put the money where it's needed most.
Where it's
Yeah.
needed, exactly. Said better than I did.
If that's okay with y'all.
Put a little extra in the, street department, so we can get a nice sign down here at the four-way stop and do away with that little rinky-dink green sign. I talked to you about it before. Stop signs look good, I mean, it's a nice intersection now, so an upgrade on the street sign would really be nice.
Oh, I see what you're talking about, the
You know,
street sign.
yeah.
Yeah, we can do
You know,
that.
let's
Yeah,
work
we-
toward that.
And,
What are the signs covered with garbage bags? Is that company that was gonna come in and do that?
That's the Blue Line Solutions for the school zones.
I don't know anything about that. I tried to call them and I can't even get a
I'll
number to
put that in your
contact
box,
them.
Timmy.
Did you have? Because, you know, we didn't hear from them forever, and they were supposed to have
I'll
done
put
this
that
a
in
year
your
ago.
box.
And then it just
Copies
pop
of
up
that
out of
in your
nowhere.
box.
Huh?
You
So
want
then it
copies
just
of
show
that?
up.
They
Yeah.
didn't show up,
It's
and
in
then
the box.
I think the guy that Tyler had talked to quit, and I don't know what all happened, but it was supposed to have happened last year.
I talked to, Chief Mallory, and I have a new contact for them. It's not active yet. It will go active soon.
I was reading the contract. There's a lot of stuff to do with that. There's a lot to it. It's not just, something goes and we get money in the mail. There's a lot to it.
I was told that they were gonna do away with those.
There's a lot of lawsuits.
That they were trying to do a bill to do away with them.
There was no action on
I
that.
think Adam's trying to get some more.
Action on that.
Is there more sleeping dogs?
You hear one thing in one place and one thing in
Then
another.
picking me one back.
I don't like it.
I don't know, at least we didn't have to pay to put them in.
Yeah.
That wasn't our money.
Can't change it.
Somebody else's money to put them
You
in.
ain't got no barrel full. Really good. Is that all- is that
So
all on that
any
then?
questions
I don't have
anywhere?
So we have a meeting next Tuesday.
A regular meeting
And then
next
the
Tuesday.
not the day after, but the week after that.
Yeah, the 17th.
17th?
We're gonna have our,
Everybody has to be here.
has to
First
be.
hearing,
Yes, everybody has to be
gotta
here.
be the 17th.
Yes,
17th.
5 o'clock on the
For
17th.
the budget here, for the final budget.
No, that's the first hearing.
First hearing.
First hearing.
Everybody has to be here for both of them, the 17th and the 29th.
29.
All right,
Everybody has to be here.
That was a good start.
What? You agreed to those days?
Mike must have a hot day, all I know. Yeah.
no, I just, ready to go home and get a shower and all, and balance out, they done a good job on
You
it.
been in Panama all day?
Appreciate what y'all have
doing.
worked on,
I'm telling you.
the whole office.
It's a chore, it's a lot to do
Brett,
it.
thank y'all.
Yeah, and, you know, I mean, unless there's something else y'all need to point out to us, I
Think
mean,
that's it.
we got the opportunity between now and next Tuesday to look over this.
Study
thing.
that, study it
Yeah,
out.
study it a little
Look at
bit.
it.
Which I will not be here next Tuesday.
And, go from there.
Okay.